Captain Emily Hayes stood at the viewport of Lunar Base Avalon, watching workers in pressure suits scurry across the skeletal frame of another Thunder-class battleship. The massive vessel's hull plates gleamed under the harsh spotlights, their tungsten alloy surface promising both protection and lethality. 6 months ago, she'd been commanding submarines in Earth's deepest trenches. Now she was humanity's best hope for survival. Beautiful, isn't she? Admiral Richardson stepped beside her, his weathered face reflecting in the reinforced glass. "TS Thunder, first of her class, and she's all yours, Captain." Hayes didn't respond immediately. Her mind wandered to the Carolina colony massacre, where she'd lost her sister's family to the alien onslaught. The memory of the notification holo still burned in her mind. Complete destruction. No survivors. "The aliens think they've won," she finally said, her voice steady despite the emotion churning beneath. "They believe destroying our outer colonies broke us. They don't understand humanity very well, do they?" Richardson smiled grimly. "That's exactly why we chose you, Hayes. 20 years of submarine warfare experience. The aliens fight like it's a chess game. Predictable, mathematical. You fight like you're hunting in the deep." The Thunder's main gun caught Hayes' attention. A massive railgun assembly that ran almost the entire length of the ship. The aliens relied on energy weapons, thinking kinetic weapons were primitive. They'd learn differently soon enough. "Your crew's waiting," Richardson continued. "Hand-picked from what's left of Earth's naval forces. They'd been training on the simulators for months, but there's only so much we can prepare for. The aliens have never seen anything like the Thunder." Hayes turned from the viewport. "Because we're not fighting like a space navy. We're fighting like submariners." She pulled up a holo display showing the Thunder's specifications. Gravity drive for silent running, railguns that can accelerate projectiles to relativistic speeds, and hull plating that can absorb energy weapon hits. But most importantly, a crew that knows how to think in 3 dimensions. "The aliens hit us hard at the colonies," Richardson acknowledged. "But they didn't find our lunar shipyards, didn't even look for them. Their arrogance will be their downfall." A young lieutenant rushed up, saluting sharply. "Captain Hayes, engineering reports the Thunder systems are ready for final inspection." Hayes nodded, squaring her shoulders. "Time to show these aliens why Earth named its ships after weather phenomena. When thunder rolls, destruction follows." The walk to the boarding tube gave Hayes time to center herself. Each step took her closer to revenge, but she knew she needed more than vengeance to win this war. She needed to prove that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology. It was its ability to adapt, to take the lessons of the past and apply them to new frontiers. The Thunder's bridge was a testament to human engineering. Unlike the alien ships with their holographic displays and neural interfaces, the Thunder's controls were deliberately physical, hardened against electromagnetic warfare. The crew stations were arranged in a circle, reminiscent of submarine combat information centers. Captain on the bridge. Her XO, Commander Marcus Chen, called out. The bridge crew snapped to attention. Hayes took her place in the command chair, running her hands over the manual controls. "Status report. All systems operational, Captain," Chen reported. "Hull integrity at 100%. Railgun capacitors charged. Gravity drive spooled and ready." Hayes activated the ship-wide comm. "This is the captain speaking. In 30 minutes, we break lunar orbit and begin our mission. The aliens think they've seen everything humanity has to offer. They're wrong." She paused, letting her words sink in. "They destroyed our colonies, killed our families, and expected us to break. Instead, we adapted. We built something new, something they won't see coming until it's too late." She looked at her crew, each face set with determination, each posture ready for action. "Today, we show them why you should never corner a species that turns survival into an art form. Ready all stations for departure. Let's bring the thunder." As the mighty ship's engines hummed to life, Hayes allowed herself a small smile. The aliens were about to learn a crucial lesson about humanity. Sometimes the deadliest predator isn't the one with the sharpest teeth. It's the one that learns from every fight, adapts to every challenge, and turns its enemy's strength into a weakness. The hunt was about to begin. Contact bearing 340 Mark 27. Lieutenant Sarah Rodriguez called from her sensor station. Energy signature matches Dominion Dreadnought. They're running hot, Captain. Hayes stood behind her sensor operator, watching the tactical display. The alien vessel was massive. Nearly 3 kilometers of energy weapons and crystalline shields. 5 months of raiding supply lines had finally drawn out their prey. Just one. Hayes allowed herself a slight smile. They still think we're pirates. XO, ready the countermeasures. Engineering, bring the gravity drive to full power. Commander Chen worked his console with practiced efficiency. Countermeasures ready, Captain. Coast protocols active. The Thunder drifted through the asteroid field, its heat signature masked by the surrounding rocks. Hayes had spent weeks studying the territory, choosing this battlefield carefully. The debris would play havoc with the aliens' sophisticated targeting systems. Their shields are up, Rodriguez reported. Standard geometric configuration. Perfect. Hayes moved to the center of the bridge. All hands, battle stations. Remember your training. We fight like submariners today. The Dreadnought's communication array pulsed, broadcasting on all frequencies. A harsh voice filled the bridge. Primitive vessel, this is Battlemaster Kexthor of the Dominion. Your raids on our supply lines end today. Surrender and your deaths will be quick. Hayes ignored the transmission. Helm, plot course Delta 7. Engineering, prepare for gravity surge on my mark. The Thunder glided silently through the asteroid field, its movements deliberate and smooth. Hayes watched the Dreadnought's position, counting down in her head. The alien vessel's shield geometry was beautiful, a perfect lattice of energy fields designed to deflect energy weapons. They're launching sensor drones, Rodriguez warned. Let them come, Hayes replied. Weapons, calculate firing solution Omega-3. Load tungsten penetrators. The Dreadnought's drones spread out in a standard search pattern. Hayes had seen it before. The aliens never changed their tactics. They relied too heavily on their technology, on their supposedly superior shields. They're getting closer, Captain, Chen reported, tension evident in his voice. Steady. Hayes gripped her command chair. Engineering, prepare for emergency power to forward shields. Helm, on my mark. Execute corkscrew pattern Delta. The Dreadnought's sensors finally locked onto them. Its weapon ports began to glow with charged energy. Now, Hayes barked. The Thunder's gravity drive engaged at full power, pulling them into a tight spiral that no conventional spaceship could survive. G-force compensators strained as they executed the submarine-inspired maneuver. They dove beneath the alien vessel's plane of attack, their own forward shields brushing against the asteroid field. Firing solution locked. The weapons officer shouted. Execute Omega-3. Hayes commanded. The Thunder's main railgun roared to life. Tungsten rods accelerated to near-relativistic speeds, their trajectory curved by the ship's gravity drive. The alien shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, didn't register the kinetic projectiles until it was too late. The Dreadnought's perfect geometric shield pattern shattered as the tungsten rods punched through. Secondary explosions bloomed across its hull as the projectile's kinetic energy released in devastating waves. Direct hits, Rodriguez called out. Their shield matrix is collapsing. Again, Hayes ordered. Target their reactor housing. Show them why we named this ship after a force of nature. The Thunder rolled into another attack run, its gravity drive allowing it to move in ways the aliens had never seen. The Dreadnought's energy weapons fired wildly, unable to track their unorthodox movement patterns. 3 more salvos of tungsten rods struck home. The Dreadnought's hull split open like a cracked egg, its reactor containment failing catastrophically. Enemy vessel breaking up, Rodriguez reported, awe in her voice. No survivors detected. Hayes stood at her command station, watching the destruction on the main display. Send the footage back to Earth. Let them see that these aliens aren't invincible. Today, humanity proved that sometimes the old ways are the best ways. As the debris of the alien vessel scattered across the asteroid field, Hayes thought about the colonies they'd lost. This victory wouldn't bring back the dead, but it proved something vital. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology. It was imagination, adaptability, and the willingness to learn from history. Helm, set course for Rally Point Beta, she ordered. Let's show the rest of the Dominion what thunder really means. The thunder slipped away into the darkness of space, leaving behind a legend that would spread through alien communication channels like wildfire. Humanity had entered the galactic stage, not with a whimper, but with a bang that would echo across the stars. Another wolf pack forms in Sector 7. Commander Chen reported, highlighting a cluster of Thunder-class vessels on the tactical display. Captain Reynolds learned your thermocline trick. She's using the radiation belt of that neutron star to mask her approach. Hayes watched the tactical feed with satisfaction. 3 months after the Thunder's first victory, 5 more ships of her class had joined the fight. Each captain brought their own submarine warfare experience to space combat, and the Dominion fleets were paying the price. Show me the sensor data from their last engagement, Hayes ordered, studying the holographic replay. The Thunder rode point for a squadron of 3 ships, currently hidden in the outer reaches of the Perseus Arm. They were hunting bigger prey now. The replay showed Captain Reynolds' ship, the TSS Tempest, executing a perfect sensor shadow maneuver. She'd used the neutron star's radiation to blind the Dominion cruiser squadron, then struck from directly above their plane of movement. Another submarine tactic adapted for space warfare. Their command structures breaking down, Lieutenant Rodriguez noted, scrolling through intercepted Dominion communications. Listen to this. The humans fight without honor, without proper formation. They hide like vermin and strike from the dark. Hayes smiled. They still don't understand. XO signaled the Tempest and Hurricane. Time to show them what a real wolf pack can do. The Thunder's engines hummed to life, her gravity drive spinning up for silent running. 2 more Thunder-class ships emerged from their hiding spots among the stellar debris, forming up in a hunting pattern that would have made World War I submariners proud. Dominion battle group detected. Rodriguez called out. 7 vessels, standard crystal lattice formation. They're sweeping the sector with active sensors. They're looking for us in all the wrong ways, Hayes observed. Their sensors are built to detect engine emissions and energy signatures. They never learn to look for gravitational anomalies. The Thunder led her wolf pack through the debris field, using fragments of destroyed stations and ships as cover. Each vessel moved independently but coordinated, creating a 3-dimensional kill box that would have been impossible for traditional space navies to maintain. Enemy flagship is launching drones, Chen reported. Standard search pattern. Wait. He leaned forward, frowning. They're varying their search protocols. Someone over there is learning. Hayes nodded grimly. Had to happen eventually. But learning new tricks takes time, and we got centuries of submarine warfare experience to draw from. Signal the pack. Execute pattern depth charge. The 3 Thunder-class ships activated their gravity drives simultaneously, creating a cascading wave of gravitational distortion. The effect on the Dominion formation was devastating. Their crystal lattice shields, dependent on precise geometric alignment, shattered under the gravitational stress. They're breaking formation, Rodriguez called out. Dominion vessels attempting emergency dispersal. Too late, Hayes said quietly. All ships, fire solution Echo 5. Show them why you never let a wolf pack surround you. Railguns thundered across the void. Each Thunder-class ship had targeted specific vessels, their tungsten penetrators accelerated by the gravitational distortion field they'd created. The results were catastrophic for the Dominion fleet. 4 direct hits, Chen reported, excitement breaking through his professional demeanor. 3 enemy vessels breaking up. Their flagship is venting atmosphere. Remaining vessels are attempting to retreat. Hayes keyed the squadron frequency. All ships, execute coup Bigress. No survivors to report our tactics. The wolf pack struck again, their coordinated fire turning the remaining Dominion ships into expanding clouds of debris. As the last explosion faded, Hayes turned to her crew. "Transmit the battle data to Fleet Command," she ordered. "Every engagement teaches us something new. The Dominion thinks they can adapt to our tactics, but they don't realize one crucial thing. We've been adapting and evolving our naval warfare doctrine for centuries. They're just getting started." The Thunder and her sister ships regrouped, already planning their next hunt. Across human space, more Thunder-class vessels were launching from their secret shipyards, their crews training in tactics that had been perfected in Earth's oceans long before humanity reached for the stars. "The Dominion called us primitive," Hayes said to her bridge crew. "They forgot that primitive doesn't mean simple. It means tested by time, proven by survival, and humanity. We're the greatest survivors the galaxy has ever seen." Vorthak's battle fleet has entered the system, Lieutenant Rodriguez announced, her voice tense. 15 capital ships, including his personal flagship. They're deploying in attack formation Delta. Captain Hayes studied the tactical display, watching the massive Dominion vessels arrange themselves in their characteristic geometric pattern. Vorthak the Undefeated had come personally to end the Thunder's reign of terror. His reputation preceded him. 500 victories, 0 defeats. "They say he's never lost a battle," Commander Chen remarked quietly. "Records are made to be broken," Hayes replied. She keyed the squadron channel. "All Thunder-class vessels. Execute contingency plan Nautilus. Tempest, you have the bait position." Captain Reynolds' acknowledgement was crisp. "Understood, Thunder." Tempest moving to position. "Good hunting." The gas giant loomed before them, its swirling storms perfect for what Hayes had planned. It was a maneuver they'd practiced for weeks, something the simulator said was impossible. But Hayes knew better. Impossible was just another word for never been done before. "Dominion fleet is broadcasting," Rodriguez reported. "System-wide, all frequencies." "Put it through," Hayes ordered. Vorthak's voice filled the bridge, deep and resonant. "Captain Hayes, your primitive tactics have amused us long enough. I offer you one chance to surrender. Your crews will be treated with the respect due to worthy opponents." Hayes smiled. "Lieutenant, send our response. Come and get us." The Thunder's gravity drive spun up to full power as Hayes turned to her crew. "Remember your training. What we're about to do has never been attempted in combat. The Dominion thinks they know all our tricks. Let's show them how wrong they are." Vorthak's fleet advanced methodically, their energy weapons charging. The Tempest played her role perfectly, appearing to limp away from the gas giant's upper atmosphere. The Dominion ships followed, their formation tightening for the kill. "They've taken the bait," Chen reported. "Tempest is leading them right into position." "All hands," Hayes called over the ship-wide comm. "Brace for extreme gravitational stress. Medical team standing by." She turned to her helm officer. "Execute dive pattern Echo 7. Take us in." The Thunder plunged into the gas giant's atmosphere, its gravity drive creating a bubble of stable space around the ship. Warning klaxons blared as the hull creaked under impossible pressures. They dove deeper, using the planet's massive gravitational field to amplify their own drive's effect. Dominion fleet is holding position at the atmosphere's edge. Rodriguez called out. "There, Captain, they're laughing at us. Their communication suggests they think we're committing suicide." "Helm, status," Hayes demanded. "Drive is holding, Captain. We're at optimal depth, ready to execute on your command." Hayes allowed herself a predatory grin. "Now they learn why we studied submarine warfare. All hands, prepare for slingshot maneuver." The Thunder's gravity drive reversed polarity, combining with the gas giant's natural force to hurl the ship upward at impossible speeds. They exploded from the atmosphere directly behind and below the Dominion fleet, emerging like a leviathan from the depths. Weapons locked. The tactical officer shouted. We have clean shots at their engine sections. Fire everything, Hayes commanded. The Thunder's railguns roared, sending salvos of tungsten penetrators through the unshielded sterns of 3 Dominion capital ships. The aliens hadn't even had time to register their emergence before their vessels began breaking apart. Incredible. Rodriguez gasped. Captain, the other Dominion ships. They're breaking formation. Signal the rest of the wolf pack, Hayes ordered. Execute pincer movement now. 4 more Thunder-class ships emerged from hiding positions in the gas giant's rings, their gravity drives at full power. Caught between multiple attack vectors and still reeling from the Thunder's impossible maneuver, Vorthak's perfect formation dissolved into chaos. The undefeated might need a new name, Chen observed as another Dominion vessel succumbed to their coordinated assault. Hayes watched Vorthak's flagship attempting to rally his forces. He's learning what every naval commander in Earth's history discovered the hard way. There's always someone out there with a new trick, a new way of turning the impossible into reality. The battle that followed would be studied for centuries. The day humanity proved that imagination and audacity could triumph over even the most advanced technology. And in the command center of his burning flagship, Vorthak the undefeated learned a lesson about humanity that his species would never forget. Never assume that something is impossible just because it's never been done before. Play it again, Dr. Marcus Wong insisted, his eyes fixed on the holographic replay of the Thunder's latest engagement. The physicist had practically lived in the ship's tactical center for the past week, analyzing every second of combat footage. Captain Hayes watched with him, noting how the Dominion shields flickered just before collapse. There's something we're missing, she said. Every time we hit their shields, there's that same pattern of failure. Not just a pattern, Wong muttered, his fingers dancing across the console. It's... Captain, look at this. He overlaid a mathematical grid on the shield collapse. Their defensive formations aren't just geometric. They're perfectly geometric, down to the quantum level. Hayes leaned closer. And that's a weakness. It's more than that, Wong explained, excitement building in his voice. It's like they've built their entire defensive doctrine on the assumption that perfect symmetry equals perfect defense. But in nature, nothing is perfect, Hayes finished, understanding dawning. Lieutenant Rodriguez, pull up the sensor logs from our last 3 engagements. Focus on shield harmonics. The data streams filled the tactical display. Wong worked furiously, correlating shield failures with impact patterns. There, he exclaimed. Every shield matrix they create follows the same fundamental mathematical principle, the golden ratio. Commander Chen joined them at the display. How does this help us? Hayes smiled. Because perfect symmetry has perfect breaking points. Dr. Wong, can you calculate exactly where those points are? Already done, Wong replied, bringing up a new tactical overlay. If we hit their shields at these precise coordinates, with exactly the right timing. He ran a simulation showing a cascading shield collapse with minimal energy expenditure. Get me fleet command, Hayes ordered. Within minutes, Admiral Richardson's hologram appeared. This better be good, Hayes. We're prepping for a major offensive. Sir, we've found their weak point. Dr. Wong has discovered that Dominion shield geometry isn't just their strength, it's their greatest vulnerability. Request permission to implement Operation Breaking Point. Richardson's eyes narrowed as he reviewed the data. You're telling me their perfect shields have perfect fault lines? Yes, sir, and we know exactly where to hit them. Make it happen, Captain. I'm sending you coordinates for a gathering Dominion fleet. Show us what this discovery can do. The Thunder and her wolf pack arrived at the designated coordinates 3 days later. A Dominion battle group of 20 ships was massing for an assault on human territory. All ships reporting ready, Chen announced. Dr. Wong's firing solutions have been distributed to the fleet. Hayes took her command chair. Signal all Thunder-class vessels. Operation Breaking Point commences on my mark. Remember, timing is everything. The wolf pack emerged from their hiding positions in perfect sequence. Before the Dominion fleet could react, each Thunder-class ship fired a precisely calculated pattern of tungsten penetrators. Impact in 3, 2, 1. Rodriguez counted down. The results exceeded even Wong's predictions. As each round struck its designated point, the Dominion shields didn't just fail. They shattered. The perfect geometric patterns turned against their creators, each breach creating a cascading failure that spread from ship to ship. "My God," Chen whispered. "Their entire defense grid is collapsing." Hayes watched as the Dominion ships tried desperately to re-establish their shield matrices. But once the pattern was broken, they couldn't recover. Their perfect symmetry had become a perfect trap. "Launch secondary salvos," Hayes commanded. "Let's show them what happens when you build your defenses on theory instead of experience." The wolf pack's second wave struck the now defenseless Dominion vessels. Without their shields, the alien ships proved surprisingly vulnerable. Within minutes, the battle was over. "Signal Fleet Command," Hayes ordered. "Tell them the mathematics of victory has been proven. And get Dr. Wong working on predicting their next defensive adaptation. Something tells me they won't make the same mistake twice." As the Thunder secured the battlefield, Hayes reflected on the irony. The Dominion had built their shields on perfect mathematical principles, never considering that perfection itself could be a fatal flaw. It was another lesson in humanity's greatest strength, finding unexpected solutions by questioning basic assumptions. Sometimes, she mused to her crew, the best way to break an enemy isn't through brute force. It's through understanding them better than they understand themselves. Operation Thunderstrike is go. Admiral Richardson's hologram announced to the assembled Wolfpack commanders. "This is our chance to end the war. The Dominion never expected us to strike their core worlds. They're about to learn why that was a mistake." Captain Hayes stood on the Thunder's bridge, watching her tactical display as 12 Thunder-class ships moved into formation. The largest gathering of Earth's newest weapons since the war began. Their target, the Dominion's primary shipyard world, Nexus Prime. "All ships report ready," Commander Chen announced. "Gravity drives synchronized." Hayes nodded grimly. "Begin deployment of the Rainmakers." The Thunder's cargo bays opened, releasing thousands of tungsten rods into space. Each rod was precisely machined, its surface etched with gravity-focusing patterns designed by Dr. Wong. The other ships followed suit, creating a metallic cloud that surrounded their formation. "Rainmakers deployed," Rodriguez reported. "Tracking system online. We've got clean paths to all designated targets." "The Dominion's home fleet is responding," Chen warned. 30 capital ships emerging from orbital stations. Their shield geometries are different. They're trying to adapt to our previous attacks. Hayes smiled. "Too little, too late. Signal all ships. Execute Steel Rain Protocol." The Wolfpack's gravity drives engaged simultaneously, creating a massive distortion field. The tungsten rods began to accelerate, caught in the combined gravitational forces of 12 ships working in perfect harmony. "Energy readings are off the scale," Rodriguez called out. "Rainmakers approaching 15% light speed. 20%. 25%. The Dominion fleet recognized the threat too late. Their ships began evasive maneuvers, but Hayes had anticipated this. "Release secondary swarm," she ordered. Another wave of tungsten projectiles launched, these ones smaller but more numerous. The Dominion ships found themselves caught between two approaching walls of metal, each accelerated to devastating velocities. "Impact in 5 seconds," Chen announced. 4, 3, 2, 1. The first wave struck. At a quarter light speed, the tungsten rods didn't just penetrate shields, they shattered entire ships. The kinetic energy released in each impact rivaled tactical nuclear weapons. The second wave followed seconds later, taking advantage of the chaos to strike with surgical precision. Direct hits on multiple targets, Rodriguez reported, her voice filled with awe. Dominion fleet. They're just gone, Captain. 17 capital ships destroyed in the first wave. The rest are breaking apart. Hayes turned to her weapons officer. Target the shipyards. Show them what happens when you push humanity too far. The remaining Rainmakers accelerated toward Nexus Prime's orbital facilities. The massive shipyards, protected by the most advanced shields in Dominion space, stood no chance against physics itself. Each impact released enough energy to vaporize entire sections of the massive structures. Orbital shipyards destroyed, Chen confirmed. Ground-based facilities targeted for second strike. Belay that, Hayes ordered, surprising her crew. Open a channel to their planetary defense command. The communications officer complied, and a clearly shaken Dominion commander appeared on screen. Hayes spoke clearly and firmly. This is Captain Hayes of the TSS Thunder. You've just witnessed what one Wolfpack can do. We have 11 more ready to deploy across Dominion space. Surrender your facilities, or the next rain falls on your surface installations. The Dominion commander's facial tentacles writhed, and what Hayes had learned was their expression of fear. You would not dare. Such an attack would be barbaric. We learned barbarism from you, Hayes replied coldly. When you destroyed our colonies, when you killed our families. The difference is, we learned to do it more efficiently. She paused, letting her words sink in. You have 10 minutes to surrender. It took 3. As the Wolfpack secured orbit around Nexus Prime, Hayes received transmissions from across Dominion space. Their other core worlds, seeing the destruction at their primary shipyard, began standing down their defenses. The message was clear. Humanity had not only matched Dominion technology, they had surpassed it through sheer ingenuity. Send word to Fleet Command, Hayes ordered. Tell them Steel Rain was a complete success. The Dominion's shipbuilding capability has been neutralized. She looked out at the debris field that had once been the pride of alien engineering. Sometimes the best way to win a war isn't through superior technology. It's through superior imagination. High Commander Kexthor stood before the Dominion War Council, his tentacles drooping in what Captain Hayes had learned was a sign of deep distress. The Thunder's bridge crew watched the intercepted broadcast with keen interest. The humans do not fight as we do. Kexthor's translated words scrolled across their screens. They do not follow the ancient patterns. They turn our strengths against us. And now our fleet captains refuse to engage when they detect Thunder-class energy signatures. First time in their history they've known fear, Commander Chen observed quietly. Hayes nodded, remembering the intelligence briefings. 50,000 years of military dominance, ended by submarines in space. She turned to Rodriguez. Show me the latest intercepts from their command channels. The tactical display filled with Dominion communications. What Hayes saw confirmed everything. Panic was spreading through their ranks. Junior officers questioned orders. Battle-tested commanders requested reassignment rather than face the Thunder's Wolfpacks. Captain, Rodriguez called out, you need to see this. We just intercepted a transmission from their war academy. The footage showed young Dominion officers studying recordings of Thunder-class attacks. They were breaking down human tactics, trying to understand the underlying principles. But more importantly, they were asking questions, something unprecedented in their rigid military hierarchy. They're adapting, Hayes mused. Not just tactically, but culturally. Fear is teaching them something their technology never could. Incoming priority message from Fleet Command, the communications officer announced. Admiral Richardson's hologram appeared, his expression grave. Captain Hayes, we're picking up unusual activity across Dominion space. Their ships are changing. The tactical display updated with new intelligence. Dominion vessels were being modified, their perfect geometric formations abandoned for more irregular patterns. Some had even begun employing randomized shield configurations. They're learning, Hayes said, but learning takes time, and they're starting 50,000 years behind. There's more, Richardson continued. We've intercepted internal communications from their high command. The defeat at Nexus Prime didn't just break their military doctrine, it's breaking their entire society. Their younger generation is questioning everything. Hayes watched as more data streamed in. Dominion communication channels were filled with unprecedented debate. Their rigid social hierarchy was cracking under the weight of repeated defeats. "Lieutenant Rodriguez," Hayes called out, "show me the status of Thunder signatures across Dominion space." The display lit up with indicators showing Thunder-class vessels patrolling former Dominion territories. But something was different. The alien ships weren't running anymore. They were watching, learning, trying to understand. "Sir," Chen reported, "we're detecting changes in their shield harmonics. They're attempting to replicate our gravity manipulation techniques." Hayes smiled. "Not very well, I imagine. You can't copy what you don't understand." She turned to her crew. "This is what winning looks like, not just defeating an enemy, but forcing them to evolve." New reports flooded in from across the front. Dominion ships attempting crude versions of Wolf-Pack tactics. Alien commanders studying Earth's naval history. Young officers challenging their superiors' blind adherence to tradition. "Captain," Rodriguez called out, excitement in her voice. "Message from the Tempest. Captain Reynolds reports a Dominion cruiser actually tried to hide in a gas giant's atmosphere. Failed miserably, but they tried." The bridge crew chuckled, but Hayes saw the deeper significance. "They're not just afraid anymore," she observed. "They're curious. Fear taught them they could lose. Now they're learning how to change." A priority alert flashed across the tactical display. The Dominion High Command was calling for an emergency session, the first in their recorded history. "Send word to all Thunder-class vessels," Hayes ordered. "Tell them to maintain combat readiness, but watch and wait. Sometimes the most important victory isn't destroying your enemy's ships, it's changing how they think." As the Thunder patrolled the edges of former Dominion space, Hayes reflected on the true nature of fear. It wasn't just about terror or panic. Real fear, the kind that changed civilizations, was about facing the unknown and realizing that everything you believed could be wrong. The Dominion was learning that lesson now, paying for their arrogance with their certainty, and in their fear they were finally beginning to understand humanity's greatest strength, the ability to look into the darkness of space and see not danger, but possibility. Captain Emily Hayes stood at attention on the Thunder's observation deck, watching the Dominion diplomatic vessel approach. Its design had changed. Gone were the perfect geometric patterns, replaced by more practical, asymmetric configurations. Even their ships were learning to adapt. "Hard to believe it's been a year since our first engagement," Commander Chen remarked, standing beside her. "They're not the same civilization we first encountered." "Neither are we," Hayes replied, thinking of how far humanity had come. The Thunder-class ships had revolutionized not just warfare, but humanity's understanding of space itself. Their gravity drive technology had opened up new possibilities for exploration and development. The diplomatic vessel docked with practiced precision. Hayes had to admire their progress. 6 months ago, they would have insisted on a perfect, ceremonial approach pattern. Now they valued efficiency over tradition. Honor Guard assembled in the main hangar, Rodriguez reported from her station. "Dr. Wong is there too. He says the Dominion scientists have some interesting theories about gravity manipulation they want to discuss." Hayes smiled. "From enemies to colleagues. Funny how that works." The Dominion delegation emerged from their ship led by a familiar face, former High Commander Kex Thor, now first speaker of their diplomatic corps. His tentacles were held in a new pattern Hayes had learned meant respectful acknowledgement. "Captain Hayes," Kex Thor's translator rendered his complex tones into English. "The ship that taught us humility. It is fitting that we sign the peace accord here." "Welcome aboard the Thunder, first speaker," Hayes responded. "Though I hope today we can focus on what our species have learned from each other, rather than the lessons we had to teach." The delegation moved to the Thunder's conference room, where representatives from Earth's government waited. The peace treaty had been months in negotiation, but both sides had insisted the final signing happen aboard the ship that changed everything. Before we begin, Kexthor addressed the assembled delegates. I wish to share something we have learned from humans. He gestured, and one of his aides activated a holographic display. This is footage from our first encounter with the Thunder. We saw it as a primitive vessel using crude weapons. We were wrong. The display showed the Thunder executing its gravity-assisted maneuvers, its seemingly impossible tactics now analyzed and understood by Dominion scientists. Humans taught us that true advancement isn't about having the most sophisticated technology, Kexthor continued. It's about understanding principles so deeply that you can apply them in new ways. Your submarine tactics, adapted for space warfare, showed us that wisdom can come from any source. Hayes watched as the treaty was formally signed. It wasn't just a document ending hostilities, it was a framework for cooperation. The Dominion would share their advanced shield technology, while humanity would help them understand the principles of adaptive warfare and innovative thinking. The Thunder will be remembered, Chen said quietly. They're already calling this the Thunder Doctrine. The idea that strength comes from flexibility, not just power. It's more than that, Hayes replied. We showed them that being advanced doesn't mean being perfect. Sometimes the most primitive solution is the most elegant. After the ceremony, Hayes found herself back on the observation deck, watching Earth's sun glint off the Dominion vessel's hull. Dr. Wong joined her, clutching a datapad filled with equations. Their scientists are brilliant, he said excitedly. They're already proposing modifications to our gravity drive that could double its efficiency. Once they stopped trying to make everything perfect, they started seeing new possibilities. Hayes nodded. That's humanity's gift to the galaxy, Doctor. We don't just survive. We help others learn how to adapt and grow. The Thunder's legacy would echo through the ages, not as a weapon of war, but as the catalyst that taught two civilizations the true meaning of advancement. The Dominion learned that perfection could be a weakness, while humanity learned that even the most advanced adversary could become an ally through understanding. As the diplomatic vessel departed, its wake rippling through space, Hayes thought about all the Thunder had accomplished. They had entered the fray to defend humanity, but they had achieved something far greater. They had shown the galaxy that the strongest steel isn't the one that never bends, but the one that knows how to adapt without breaking.